Hey folks, it's going to be one of those heavy days. It's a 40k rant day, which is good for some of you and bad for others when you don't want your eardrums blasted out. Anyway, if you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below. And Composite Games is also there if you're going to get any of your hobby stuff over the next couple of days, because as you are going to see, maybe the future is bright for the hobby, maybe it's not. But, you know, we're here together, we're here to make sure that we're getting value out the hobby. And if you want to do that, Composite Games and other retailers like them are the way to go. Use the promo code Northern Exile down below to get your 5% off at checkout. Let's jump in, shall we, to another rant. Well, I say it's a rant. It's more of a discussion that I'd like to prime off here in the comment section down below. Use this video as a primer for your own discussions and your own views on the hobby and where we're going. Let's jump into it, shall we? So, recently, we just heard from Games Workshop that the 10th edition of Warhammer 40,000 will be on the way. Well, they didn't tell us, they just teased something and moved swiftly on, looking at you, new Terminators. This should be a monumental moment for the hobby, a massive reset when we pull back the rules out of the sludge, move the story of 40k onwards and come out with some new models across the range. 10th edition, simply by its number, should be the edition that forms the basis for all those going forwards, so that the game does not morph into something completely different every 5 years. I mean, I know we're seeing that right now. We're seeing that every single edition that we get is a kind of a magnum shift from the last one, which it shouldn't be. You know, 8th was very different to 7th. 9th was a reiteration on 8th. That was still a big departure. God knows what 10th is going to be, you know? This process will take care, though, in both handling the game and ensuring it is as future-proofed as possible for the coming iterations of the game. The thing is, I'm not sure Games Workshop have that in them. Now, as most things with this channel, I'm trying to be balanced. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I do have a sinking feeling that 10th edition may end up just being another cash grab. A load of bloated rules and an excuse to sell everything in the range, including the immoral codexes, over and over and over again every 3 or 4 years. That's the current model. But the thing is, what if 10th edition is good? I did a very similar video last year. A lot of my opinions have not changed, but have morphed a little bit with more research. But what if it is good? Well, to answer that question, we need to define what good even is, in terms of what I think. And this is what I'd like you to input down below. What is good to you in 10th edition? What would it need to look like? I'm going to tell you what I would look like for me, and then we'll move on from there, shall we? So, the first thing that would define good is what's in the box, right? Like Brad Pitt in 7. What's in the bags, right? What's in the box? What is coming in the 10th edition box? If you're keeping the workings of Abaddon as the centerpiece of the hobby in the lore, which it is right now, right? Then his forces need to come in the box set against a Space Marine force of some size. If we are looking at good value for a £125 box set, I would say both armies, Chaos and Space Marines, should be around 750 points each as a solid starter set for both armies. That may seem like a lot, you know, that may seem like a hell of a lot. It's like, I think that's almost double what's in the current starter box set. Let me just have a little look-see. I think it is, though. I think it's like nearly current. Warhammer 40,000 Indomitus box set points value. I think it's a bit more. I think it's a little bit more than what we got. Let's have a look. Let's have a little look here. I don't want to say that it is, just in case, you know. Will it be another 1,000 point chunk? So, we are looking at... Okay, so the Space Marine total cost in the Indomitus box is 1,000 points. So, I'm upping mine to 1,500 points. I wanted to get that just spot on, just in case, right? So, 1,500 points of each of each force is in the box set. So you've got nearly an entire force of each force in the box set. You've got Chaos, 1,500 points, and Space Marines, 1,500 points. That's 3,000 points worth of models for £125. Not only does this ensure that new people have a really good base to build on, but that the average hobbyist also can go halves with their friend to get models in the set that they really, really want for a fantastic price. Also goes without saying that any new models coming out with 10th should be in the new box set. The Terminators, for example. Right? I know what you're thinking, guys. Well, wouldn't it be nice to not have Space Marines in the box set for once? And you're right. At least from a veteran point of view. But not for somebody who's coming into the hobby starting out. If you are marketing the Space Marines fighting Chaos as the big scenario of 40k in the lore, these are the armies that have to be in the box. At the end of the day, the new edition is a starter box set, not a veteran top-up box set. It's not marketed as that. Alright. On that notion, though, I'm going to offer you a knowledge branch to you veterans out there who are like, well, where are my models in the new edition? That's one thing that I never liked, is that new veterans just have to get the same box set as everybody else. Why? They've built this place. They built this house, give them something nice. So on that notion, bring out a veterans box set to complement the new starter set with different armies from different war zones fighting in the box. So, one of these box sets that comes out with 10th edition is Orcs vs Tyranids, called the Octarius Veterans Box, and so on, right? From the Octarius war zone. So we have the Orcs and the Tyranids fighting in that box set. We can even create vast new war zones in the lore, right, between entire Xenos empires to give them something to do apart from fighting fucking Space Marines all the time. So we can have Tau fighting Eldar, and Dark Eldar fighting, I don't know, Votan. We can have all these different things going on at the same time. We can have Necrons in there fighting someone. It can all be going on. Why not? Why not give these races, these other races, their own box set in case you don't want to collect Space Marines and you're a veteran and you want to have a go. You want to get in there. And by the way, there's nothing saying, right, that one of these veteran box sets can't be Dark Angels against Fallen and things like that. Can you imagine the amount of these boxes that would fly off the fucking shelves if you brought out veterans boxes that, say you don't want Chaos Space Marines versus Space Marines. Say you are an Orc player and your friend's a Tyranid player, or you're a Tau player who's always thought of collecting Dark Eldar. Now there's a box set there for you to go and buy with 1,500 points of that army in there, and if you can't afford it, split it with a friend. Split it with a friend and go and get yourself 1,500 points of the army that you actually want. It's modular, it gives people choice, and it gives them a great hook into the new edition. And by the way, all of these boxes come with the new rulebook inside at £125 a pop. There you go. I just made you a lot of money, Games Workshop. A lot of money. Oh, and the Xenos box sets should come with new models too. Stop staggering your releases like insecure little bitches, okay? If it's coming in 10th, put it in the new box set. So the Octarius box set, if there are new models for Tyranids coming out, or for Orcs, a few of those should be in the box set as a little teaser, as a little taster of what's to come. They should be in there, ready to go. Alright? 1,500 points may seem like a lot, guys, and a lot of you may seem like, oh, well, hang on a minute, they're going to lose money. No, they're not going to lose money. Okay? I've said this story time and time again. I was told from the horse's mouth when it bloody well worked for them. The box that the models come in is more valuable to Games Workshop than the fucking than the fucking models. Right? It's more valuable. It costs more money to make that when we've got them all, they're all done. It costs more money to make this and get it here than it does for the actual plastic is worthless. Just throw it away. Right? I asked that question when I was like, if somebody runs out of my store with a box set, should I chase them? And my trainer was like, no, don't chase them. What's wrong with you? They're just models. Right? They're not worth anything. They're not worth shit. He's like, what do you think's more expensive, the box or the models that go inside of it. I said, well, the models. He said, no, the models, the customer decides how much they're worth. That guy will probably sell it on eBay, fine, no problem. But in reality, it's not worth you getting hurt over. We don't run a jewellery store. These are models that have no value in the real world. Okay? Games Workshop can afford to give away 3,000 points of each army in every box set. They could afford it. The only reason they can't afford to do that is because it would stagger later purchases. So people later will not buy as much because they've all got it in the one box set. Okay? 1,500 points, I think, is the sweet spot, and it's a pat on the back for saying thank you for buying into the hobby. There's some cool shit. That's the sweet spot for me. It's more than what was in the Indomitus set. It's a full army that you can get on the tabletop and go, and it's 1,500 points. So if you want to be playing with the big boys, that's still not enough points. 2,000 points, 2,000 points or 1,750 points is the standard for the tournament battles, the bigger battles. So you would still need to buy more stuff, but it gives you good value for what's in the box set, and you can have so much fun with 1,500 point battles. I may be a little bit biased because that's the points point that I play on, but hey, you know, it is what it is. So that's the model scene 2. On to the rules, the actual rules. All right, so we know that they're a mess in 9th edition. That's not a secret. Games Workshop had a golden goose, in my opinion, with 8th edition. I know a few of you didn't like it, but at the same time, for me, teaching people how to play 40k, I saw so many people get into the hobby. It was my job to teach 8th edition to people. I saw so many people getting into the hobby, so much enthusiasm and happiness around the time of the indexes before we started getting all the codexes. Alright? It was a golden goose in the making. The rules were stripped back, they were more simple, they were more approachable, and the game was in that sweet spot of being easy to pick up and hard to master, when the game consisted of the core rules, one and a bit pages of them. Right? There's only one page really of core rules that you really needed to know to play the game, and the index that had the entire range of Xenos or Imperium in 1 or 2 volumes. Wonderful stuff. Remember the days where you had Space Marines and you just went and got your index, your Imperium Index 1 or 2, whatever it was, and you had all of the Space Marine models in one book? There wasn't a Codex Space Wolves or a Codex Grey Knights or a Codex this or it was all in the same. How beautiful was that? How quick was that to go and get your models, get them on the table and play some games? And they were all balanced games for the most part. Sure, it needed retooling a little bit because nothing when it comes out is perfect, and the indexes were never meant to be like a hard-coded, this is the game now, so there were a few broken combinations in there, don't get me wrong, but if you treat it like the real game, that's how the game's going to be from now on, those rules would be a lot more balanced, at least you'd like to think so, right? So sure, it did need retooling a little bit, but the indexes were a great sign that a lot of people in the hobby, most of us, were very on board with. Then the money grabbing started. Codexes were released that were overpriced in terms of money and overpowered in terms of the game. Does anybody remember the broken on arrival Imperial Guard Codex from that edition? Yeah, that happened several times with 8th edition. The game slowly crept in power into an arms race. New things came out, new codexes always blew away the competition that came before. In a phrase, the game became low-key pay to win, or at least pay to get a decided advantage if you have the money to get a new army and a new codex as soon as it drops. Let me ask you something. If you're playing Raven Guard in 8th edition, right, and your friend is minted, he has a lot of money, and then the Imperial Guard Codex drops, he reads what's in the codex, he buys the codex, he buys a full Imperial Guard force that he then gets painted for him on Siege Studios or somebody like that, and then puts him on the tabletop and plays the most meta list from that new codex. Who has the advantage? Who has an unfair advantage? Take the Siege stuff out of it, because everyone should have nicely painted models. But take all that out of it. Who has the advantage in terms of rules? The guy with more money has the advantage. And that's just the way Games Workshop want it. They don't want you. They want the whales. They want the idiots with disposable income. Too much disposable income. 9th became even worse. Games Workshop always follow the same pattern. And here it is. I'm going to break down every single release of Warhammer 40,000 since the late 90s for you right here. Are you ready? Okay. 1. Release a balanced game and receive praise. Hooray! 2. Ruin the game over the next 3 to 4 years, if you're lucky, with codex creep and rule changes or additions like formations in 7th edition or thousands of stratagems in 9th edition. 3. Just as the discontent reaches fever pitch, announce a brand new edition where you're definitely going to fix all of those problems. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat every single edition of Warhammer 40,000. This cycle should end with 10th edition. We have a phenomenal opportunity to do that with 10th edition. Alright. Bring the stratagems down to 3 to 4 for each army, and that's it. Remove the bloat and build a solid foundation for 10th edition built on what was learned from 8th edition if that's where you want the game to go. Alright? This is what I would do with 10th edition if we're going to be fixing it. If you're going to stick with 8th edition as the template, right? Get rid of nearly all of the stratagems, have each army have 3 to 4, and that's it. And that's what we're going with. Avoid soup armies like Imperial soup, things like that. Avoid that and formations. Avoid anything that forces a hobbyist to buy certain types of models, okay, in certain orders to gain an advantage in the game. Make elite units in the lore, elite units in the game. Make models like Primarchs, monstrous creatures, custodians, Grey Knights and the like extremely expensive in terms of points, but absolutely brutal on the tabletop. A Grey Knight list should have 15 to 20 infantry models in it, and that's it. Right? New models as well. New models that are just a little bit bigger than Primaris Marines. Because they're psychic, right? They're buffing themselves up. They look bigger. They're intimidating on the tabletop, right? Same thing should go for Custodians. They shouldn't be these squat little fellas. They should be bigger than Space Marines, more powerful than the Space Marines. They should look imposing. And in a full army, there should be about 10 to 15 of them, right? That's where we should go. We should not be seeing Primarchs and the like in 1,000 point games. Bring the game into line with the lore whilst keeping the balance. You'll notice all of this is balanced, right? So, we don't want to see Primarchs in 1,000 point games? Fine. Okay. Well then the first thing you're going to get is a new starter box set of whatever army you want with 1,500 points in it. And then you go and get your Primarch or your monstrous creature or a few more Custodians or a few more Grey Knights to add to your force to make it a 2,000 point game where you can now bring your Primarchs and monstrous creatures and all the other stuff, right? Awesome. Do this and you set up 10th edition to be a finely balanced foundation to build on, because that's what we want to do. We don't want to just send out 10th edition out there as this perfect thing. We know it's not going to be, but we want it to be a solid foundation to build the hobby on as we go. Each update from here should be electronic and free. Every 6 months, there should be a huge update to balance the game with the constant feedback of the fans and tournaments. 10.1, for example, should come in Christmas 2023, if we're going on the proviso that 10th drops in June of this year, right? So 10.1 should come in Christmas 2023 with a brand new box set to buy. Oh yeah, they're raking in even more money, because there will be a 10.1 in Christmas 2023 with a new update and new models in new box sets that are there for you to buy. Finally, there is a real tangible reason for you to buy the Battle Force box sets over Christmas, because you know it's in the Battle Force box sets. All of the models that got rules changes updated and buffed in the 10.1 edition of the game. Bang, there's your money, Games Workshop. 10.2 should come in June 2024 with a new box set, and so on and so on and so on. No one says you shouldn't be making money, Games Workshop. We're not saying that. We're not saying that at all. Just make all of your money whilst giving us value, instead of expecting us to pay just to get back to where we were at this point in the last edition. That's my fear. Every single edition. In 9th edition right now, we're being made to pay just to get back to where we were at this stage in 8th edition. We shouldn't be repeating the same cycle every year, every time, every edition that comes out. We're doing the same thing, paying the same amount of money, you cheeky bastards. Instead, give us value for money. From this point on, keep building on the hobby and what we're doing as a foundation, and every 6 months give us a brand new blowout of box sets to go and spend our money on. Not only do you make probably more money, but you're making more constant money. You're not making money in little purchases here and there. People will be thinking, great, it's June. You know what time that is? It's a new update. There's my new box set of my Tau. Oh, brilliant. There's my 1,000 points of Tau. Yes, and it's going in my box. It's going in my bag. Brilliant. Hopefully I pay for it and don't shoplift, right? That's the way the hobby should go. It shouldn't be nickel and diming your own audience. Stop it. Stop it. It's wishful thinking, I know, but all codexes should be free. Or at least sold for a nominal subscription fee cost. If you want Warhammer Plus to be a success, Games Workshop, your Warhammer Plus subscription should now cover free PDFs for your army that you choose when you sign up. So when you sign up for Warhammer Plus, it says, what's your primary army? Because we'll give you all of the books for that army in your subscription. And I'll say, I'm a Chad, so I collect Grey Knights, Games Workshop, thank you very much. And they say, oh, no problem, North. Here's all of the codexes, all of them, from every edition for Grey Knights. Bang! There's the PDFs, all on your phone, all on your computer. You pay as a subscription fee every single month, and you keep access to those PDFs. How cool is that? You gotta log in to see them, but once you've logged in, they're all there for you to look at, right? Awesome. It's there, and you're making Buko Books, Games Workshop. You are making so much money. I would subscribe to Warhammer Plus for that. If you gave me that, and even every single month, give away like a free book of the army of your choice. Do you like Grey Knights? Okay, here's the Castellan Crow book. Thank you for signing up. It costs you nothing. It costs you literally nothing. You would be making so much money, and not only that, but you get access to all of the content that's already on Warhammer Plus. Dude, you'd be making it up out of you'd be not knowing what to do with the money, right? Get with the times, please. Each army you add to your plan from here is another book or two a month, right? So you can add to your plan, say, I'm going to collect Death Guard. So I add Death Guard to my plan for Warhammer Plus. That's another $3 a month. Fair enough, no problem. I get access to all of my codexes there for Death Guard on my phone, on my tablet, on my computer, whatever. It's done. Brilliant, lovely stuff. Stop nickel and diming your audience and get with the times. The codex market simply does not represent anywhere near value for money anymore and is not fit for purpose. I know a lot of you will be saying, well, people will just, take screenshots and share everything. So? They're paying for the privilege of doing that. And do you really think, if this is such a good deal, do you really think I'm going to take a photograph of my codex and show it to somebody or give it away for free and then get rid of my subscription? Of course I'm not. Of course I'm not. Absolutely not. If you just get one subscription, one or two subscriptions for every small group of gamers, you still have like 200% more subscriptions than you currently do in that group of gamers. I'm telling you now. I don't know anybody who is subscribed to Warhammer Plus. And I know a lot of people in the hobby, as you might think, okay? But in real life, I don't know anybody who subscribed to Warhammer Plus. On my Discord server, I think there's like maybe a dozen. In thousands of people on the Discord server, there's perhaps a dozen. I'm telling you now, there's perhaps a dozen. I'm giving you away, in a group of 5 hobbyists, 2 of them will have a Warhammer Plus subscription. There's money being left on the table here, guys, if you just give us value for it. Ignoring this just confirms to others that you simply don't give a fuck about us and giving us value for money. You just want to make money in the same way you've been making it for decades. In an outmoded model that isn't relevant anymore, and one day it will bite you on the arse. Now, I have something here that I want the veterans in the audience to give me a bit of an opinion on in the comment section down below. So, take a quick drink of tea so I don't faint. Oh, I can't wait to start running again. It's gonna be so great. Anyway, hear me out, guys. Hear me out. I know you don't want them involved. I know you don't want them involved. Hear me out. Official Games Workshop tournaments. No. Pitchforks away, please. Pitchforks away. 1 second. You heard me. Introduce 3 levels of official Games Workshop ran tournaments. There's a beginner's level, intermediate levels, and veteran levels. Each can be held at an arena or something in the UK on a touring basis. So the beginners tournament goes on a tour around the UK, and gets winners from the Merseyside and Lancashire and or even the Northwest, the Northeast, the Southeast, the Southwest, the Central. Get the champions from those areas and then bring them to Nottingham. Well, I'll get into that a little bit later on. Each can be held at a local arena or something in the UK on a touring basis, with beginners tournaments being for school clubs, dads gaming clubs, and more casual gaming societies, with a limit of 1,000 points a game, with the grand finals being held in Nottingham at Warhammer World, right? A big day out for all the family. And let's just say, right, there is a nominal fee to enter, say a £5 to enter. That's so much money you're leaving on the table. I'll stop saying it. I'll stop saying it. Intermediates are for most hobbyists who are at university, have been in the hobby for a few years, or are familiar with the rules and just getting into the hobby again at 1,500 points. So we jump up in 500 points, and your intermediates is for your layman hobbyist, right? Or your hobbyist just getting back into the hobby. Veterans tournaments are for folks who have been in and stayed in the hobby. 2,000 points per game, and you should know your rules at this point. These are for the tournament players. The guys who are out there at the internationals, things like that. They will come and play in these tournaments. Games Workshop should be involved in this scene, as not just being involved. Not being involved is simply leaving money on the table, and potential new hobbyists at that. Can you imagine the amount of new players coming into the hobby if Games Workshop actually supported official gaming groups, school clubs, and university teams? What an age that would be with the dawn of 10th edition if we turned Warhammer into a fucking e-sport. Right? I know a lot of you will be rolling your eyes. I'm telling you. How cool would that be if we had official Games Workshop tournaments that are seen as the best of the best? Like, we pool all the best from the UK, just for the UK for this one time, as a trial, into these tournaments. And then on Games Day, we have this massive tournament for all of the champions who turn up. Right? So the champions from beginners, the champions from intermediates, and the champions from veterans all play together in a single tournament, bracketed tournament, to crown a UK Games Day champion. Wouldn't that be awesome? And you get a Slayer sword, you get all these really cool things. You could give away vouchers and coupons and models and paints and even cash prizes. You could do so much to endear the hobby to new people. Because a lot of people, not everybody is as into the lore as I am, or as I was as a kid. There will be kids out there who go, well, I like football, and I like video games. I want something competitive. Well, here you are. There is a full scale. No longer are Games Workshop looking down their nose at tournament players and doing the whiffy nose action, going, no, these guys, no, not for us, not for us. No, put it on Warhammer Plus, like a fucking Sky Sports subscription. Put it on Warhammer Plus. The best players of Warhammer in the world are going to be playing on our platform. Why? Because we want to give you value for money for your subscription. So all of the best tournaments are on Warhammer Plus. And by the way, support independent tournaments. Go out there and say, hey, here's some money. Can we broadcast your tournament? Not the small ones where some weirdos turn up. I mean the big ones. The big internationals. Go to them and say, hey, do you want to be on Warhammer Plus? Here's some money. You're going to be broadcasted, or at least the last 16 will be broadcasted fully on Warhammer Plus. What a hobby that would be. I would even get into tournaments at that point. How cool would that be? So, now that I've tantalised you with how cool the hobby could be, at least in my opinion, will Games Workshop actually do anything like this to set up 10th as the foundation of what we can do going forwards in the hobby? Well, I really want to think that they would, but my head says no, while my heart wants to say yes. That sounds like R. Kelly. My mind's telling me no. But, let's be honest. Games Workshop's finger has not been on the pulse of the hobby since the early promising days of Kevin Roundtree's stewardship. I never thought I would mention R. Kelly and Kevin Roundtree in the same sentence, but here we are. For a while, it looked like we were on the right path, but the cynical and quite frankly cruel way Games Workshop approached the pandemic of Nurgle, the gains that they made from it, the constant price hikes, the jettisoning of older veterans from the hobby that they seem to take such joy in, the soaring profits that never seem to find their way to the customer in terms of value, all of this has made me see that Games Workshop likely does not have the wherewithal to be custodians of this great hobby that we partake in. So, what do I think they will actually do? Well, for me, 10th edition will likely have Chaos and Space Marines in it, in the one box that we're going to get. It will likely come in several price ranges, just to confuse the issue a bit further. Stratagems will be scaled back. Even Games Workshop aren't that stupid to keep them. And of course, the Codex Creep Circus will begin all over again. Not only that, as the edition goes on, more stratagems will inevitably find their way back into the game, and we will end up with a very similar bloated mess to 9th edition by 2025, where, shock horror, 11th edition will be announced, and the merry-go-round will start again, and around and around and around and around and around we go. Again and again and again and again, they siphon money from your wallet whilst giving you nothing in terms of actual fucking value for what you're putting in. New models will come in 10th edition, but will be spread out and made so scarce in actual numbers that getting one from Games Workshop, even at their exorbitant prices, will be difficult for the average hobbyist who needs to save to get their nice things. Yes, indeed, folks. Most hobbyists aren't in a lucky position to just go out and buy a model. They need to save because they have rent, they have energy bills, they have kids, they have wives. They have all sorts of other things they need to pay for. They have car payments, all sorts of things they need to pay for. They need to budget for their nice new model that they're going to get. That means that when they finally have the money a month or two after release to get their model, they're all fucking gone. Why? Because fucking scalpers, the scum of the earth, have taken them from any store page that we can get our hands on them. They're gone. We can't get them anymore. Instead, we will be paying scalpers a lot more to get the models we want. I'm in a very, very, very privileged position to have Composite Games here, or to even have disposable income where I can say, "Hey, I'm going to go get this model. Going to get this model at release. It's fine." But not everybody. Most people are not in that position, and you need to think outside of yourself. I'm sick of these fucking whales just thinking of themselves, just saying it. Well, as long as I'm okay, everything's fine. No, it's not. No, it's not, because the hobby will die. It will go away. People will leave. You will run out of really cool people to play until you're paying another scumbag like yourself who keeps paying scalpers a lot of money to get models that everybody should have access to. Is it your fault Games Workshop are doing this? Partly yes. Partly yes. Because if you did not entertain these practices with your hard-earned money, they wouldn't be doing this. They would see scalpers as a problem. And they'd tell them to get in the fucking sea, like they should have done ages ago. How do they do that? They make more models. But they'll never do that, because that brings the value of them down, doesn't it? They're no longer a collector's item, quote unquote. Instead, we will be needing to pay scalpers a lot more to get the models that we want. At least those of us with a single brain cell will be doing that anyway. But the numbers seem to be growing these days. I mean hobbyists buying from scalpers, not brain cells. You know, those in the hobby are always in short supply, apparently. In short, this is a chance for Games Workshop to do something not only right, but great. Utterly and truly great. It is a chance for the hobby to be arrested from its slump in terms of quality and fairness towards the consumer, and for Games Workshop to actually lead the revolution into electronic rulebooks and even laying the groundwork for selling 3D printing files. Games 10th edition will show you the direction the hobby will be taking for the decades to come. I don't care how many people tell you that Games Workshop is not the hobby. Its market share is so vast, it kind of is. And 10th edition will show you the direction the hobby is going to go in for years and decades to come. I just fear what kind of direction Games Workshop will be wanting to move in when the signs are finally made clear on release day. What do you guys think? I need to go rest my voice. I love you all a long time. I'll be back tomorrow for some more hobby nightmares. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Adieu. Have a wonderful day. See you later. Have a good one. Bye.